Welcome everybody, this is Jean Voice Dart, and I'm very, very happy to be here today with Cecilia Tement and have her book, her wonderful book. Let me get this big so you can see. If I could, I would, and I just absolutely adore this book, Cecilia.
Thank
So
you.
great to have you here. Can you tell people a little bit about what you do and who you are?
My name is Cecilia Tement. I am a transformational story coach. I'm an energy healer as well as a spiritual channel. And I work with people to release their old life story, to discover their true story, and to live their authentic story. And so, so much of the time we're held back by our doubt and our fear and our sadness and our shame. And, I just help them to journey through back to themselves so that they can live their life, in the most beautiful, blissful way, being able to come from a place of total and absolute self-love. So that's what I do.
You said heal your story, and I saw that on your website. Can you explain what that means a little bit? Do people rewrite, go through the process of remembering their life story and rewriting it?
So I have a couple of different things that I do. Healing your story means healing the story that we've told ourselves our whole lives, the story of limitation, the story of not enoughness, the story of victimhood. And so I really just help people to look at what they've been telling themselves, what it is they might need to shift and transition out of the old story they've been telling, and then finding their new story, right? And so another program that I have is Heal Your Story to Write Your Story, where I actually bring authors and course creators through the exercise of writing in order to release, and then being able to come from a place of wholeness so that they can go from pain to progress in their storytelling, so that when we are sharing our stories with other people, it is for the actual purpose of transformation.
So what motivated you to be a transformational coach and therapist, and what motivated you to write this book? What was your story?
Well, I grew up in child abuse, and my father was very physically, verbally, emotionally abusive, and I was, never kind of privy to the kind of childhood that I've always wanted, which is one that was, always surrounded by love. There was a lot of criticism, there was a lot of hatred, there was a lot of bitterness, and a lot of yelling and kicking and punching and hitting. And those kinds of experiences were very jarring for me as a kid. And they really held me back from a trauma standpoint. And so it wasn't until my early 40s that I really began to heal. And, this side of a couple of years ago, I really went through a major transformation where I finally confronted my abusive father about what happened. And from there, we were able to heal our relationship, to reconcile. And that really freed me from the pain of my unforgiveness. And so from there, I had written my book years ago, actually, and it was just sitting there. I used it for presentations during work, because I worked at a shelter for abused women and children. And then I decided that it was time to turn it into a book. And so that's what I did. And that's how If I Could, I Would came to be.
How did you arrive at that? Because I know there are people that say that's not possible. That's just fake joy. That's not, you're just kind of acting it out. But I believe, and I can see that you truly are experiencing joy. You truly do love, and the incredible shifting and healing that occurred, in this book, that your father, your abuser, is writing in this book, at the end of the book, and you have come to a place where you all love each other and accept each other. How could that happen? What do you say to folks that say, I don't know that she's really that happy?
Well, the reality is I'm not always that happy. Of course I have my moments where I'm sad, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, all of those things, but I work through my emotions a lot quicker than I used to. I just choose not to stay in that state of not okayness, because I deserve more. And so I choose joy. I actively choose joy because I know that that's what I've always deserved. And I've spent so much of my life in suffering. I don't want to spend the rest of it in that same vein. I'd rather spend the rest of my life in progress, in healing, in love. So for me, It's like, who I am is what you get. What you see is what you get. Like, I don't know if I could be anything else. This is my authentic self. And people, I think, can feel it. I really do. Like, I have not yet, thankfully, been accused of what you're saying. Like, obviously, I think that I'm also very real and I'm very honest. And when I talk to people, I share what I'm going through in the moments that I'm going through it.
Sure.
And, I think that's the great part about it, is that when you can be your true self and your real self, you don't have to hide anymore. I don't have to hide anymore. I used to hide my whole life. Nobody even knew that I was suffering. Nobody even knew that I was in depression. Nobody knew that I was suicidal. I had to really, I've been so much in the hell that the hope and the healing feels a lot better. So I just, I decide for myself every day. I wake up and I say, I want to live in the hope and the joy, right? I prefer it.
I think that's exactly right. Just choosing it. But some might say, they've said to me too, I've had a life of trauma, abuse. I was abused by my teacher, actually, sexually assaulted by my music teacher, and domestic violence as well, and many other things. But I feel so much joy, and it's just coming to terms with it, loving it, working through it. It is possible, and you are an example of that. And I want to ask you, why did you decide to write a children's book and not an adult book? Why did you decide that? Tell me about
Well, because I went through the abuse as a child, I wanted to speak from my perspective as a kid and what that was like for me. And so I reimagined all of the incidents of abuse so that I was in control. I wanted to paint the picture for people to understand that that's what it was like for me. I had to kind of take myself out of the doldrum of what it was so that I could feel better about what took place. And in reimagining my past, I was able to completely change my destiny, because it allowed me to see that my past no longer had to have a hold on me, that I didn't have to feed into the old story of being trapped, that I could find a new way and a new perspective of looking at things. And I think what's important for people to understand is that imagination is more powerful than logic. So when you can, right. And that with the creative ways in which you support people through expressive arts and whatnot, I think that is something that is so beautiful. And the more you can sort of, breathe and live in that ideal of knowing that it's okay to reimagine what happened in a way that gives you some peace and some solace, to not deny that it happened, but to look at it from a different light, then it really does change how, the trauma impacts you. It doesn't have to have that kind of devastating impact. It can have a transformative one.
And you said we chatted just a smidge before we started recording. We chatted and sharing the importance, and you just mentioned of, the expressive arts. And you shared with me that was just so critical and important to you as a child and growing up. You said you didn't really feel that transformation until your early 40s. So what kinds of creative outlets did you have? What did you do to help yourself get through these times?
I would sing. I wrote a lot of songs that I would just sing to myself. I journaled a lot. I wrote poems, a lot of poems, and if I look back on them and what I wrote, it's so interesting because, really it was with this childlike mind. And I always used to imagine a better world, and I think that that's what I wanted for myself and for my family. And so that was really important to me. And those kinds of expressions were life-saving, really. I don't think without my music and without my writing, I don't know that I would have made it through. It was a great way for me to get out my emotions, to deal with them, because I didn't want to burden my mom because she was going through so much. My brother had autism, so it was hard to talk to him about these things. And so really, I just had to figure out a way to do it on my own. So that was my way.
Yeah, very good. And these wonderful drawings are drawn by your mother.
Yeah, she did the line drawings, and then my girlfriend Lindsay Travers, who's a graphic artist, she did all the coloration and made it come to life in more 3D and that kind of thing. So it's really cool. They're really simple.
So I love the simplicity. Yeah. Let's read a little bit. Can you read to us as the author, or do you want me to read?
You can go ahead.
Okay. Oh my goodness, it's so cute. So the title is oops, I have to, if I could, I would. So it starts out with a cat and says, if I could stay in bed all day, I would yawn and stretch like a great big cat, and I would get someone to rub my belly until I fell asleep. So you talked about the imagination. This book is about the imagination and
Yeah.
helping children look at what they're feeling, helping them go to another place, a happy place, but helping them feel good about the sadness and the
Yes.
bad things too, helping them just feel. Here's the next page. Oops, go this way. The bottle. If I could, I would become a genie so I could make all my bad dreams go away. If I could be the softest and biggest tissue ever, I would wipe away all my mother's tears. Well, that's really powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And particularly, I'm so happy to have you on here today because this is a stressful time, with 2020, with COVID, with hurricanes, with fires, with racial uh, outbreaks and all this horrible stuff in the United States. You're in Canada right now. Your book helps children understand their feelings and process and helps the adults with the tips in the back.
Yeah.
What would you like to say in response to that right now, this time that we're living in?
I think that it's so important that people recognize and understand that the only power that is important in this world is love. The power of love is more impactful than any divisiveness, than any violence, than any hurt, than any anger. And I think that when we can live from a place of love and healing and compassion and understanding, that's when everything can change for us. That's when everything can change for the world. And I feel very, very strongly that if we all loved ourselves enough, we would know that it doesn't have to be so cut and dry, that we can make space to hear one another, to support each other, to heal together, and to kind of, live in the oneness that we were all meant to be. I think the more that we try and just highlight our differences in a way that is destructive, nothing good will ever come from it. So that's what I would say. My only advice to everyone is however much you think you're loving now, love even more. However much you think you're elevating one another, elevate each other even more. However much you think you're supporting yourself, support yourself even more, because you can never have enough of that kind of goodness and light in your life.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. I want to ask you, what kind of a role did your mother play? You said that you couldn't really talk to your brother. Is that what you said?
That's right.
Could you talk to your mother?
Yeah, my mom was amazing. I think I just felt so bad for her because she was really suffering through everything alone. And especially being a woman who was in an abusive marriage, it's so jarring to feel like you have space to even, be heard. And I was so young, it was one of those things where we were really close and really tight. And I grew up talking to her all the time, which was amazing, but it was also a lot for me. So I think that that's the thing that people have to recognize when kids grow up in abuse and they're still in the abusive situations, it's a little bit tough for them to be the leaning post because they need it too. And, I think that's the hard part. My mom did the very best that she could. But I feel for her because I wish she had somebody that she could have spoken to. And obviously back then, I mean, we're talking like the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Like it was quite a long time ago. Nobody really spoke about abuse in the way that they do now. I think that child abuse has more of a platform than it used to. It's still not loud enough and big enough, but we're getting there day by day. And so, I think that that's the thing. Like, we had beautiful conversations, but even to this day, my mom is still healing just like I am. I think healing is a journey. It's not a destination. And, it's so great when you can be able to do that together.
I want to go back to what I mentioned earlier about your father and that that you're at peace with that and that he wrote in the book. I was on the call when you launched your book.
Yes.
It was so fun and funny and so much laughter, and he popped on and talked, and here he is at the back of the book. Let's show his picture here. Isn't that beautiful? And he's written in the book here. It's just so lovely. So let me see if I can find. I urge all parents and caregivers to please take a hard look at how you raise your kids. There is never a need to choose hurt, anger, negative actions, or reactions. Children need love, support, friendship, guidance, encouragement, and inspiration. There is always an alternative to abuse and violence. It is never too late to change for the better. That just brings me tears to my eyes. Especially now, we're going through a time where there's so many emotions. And he ends by saying, I'm not reading the whole thing. It's a note from my dad. There's a couple of pages here. So cute. But he ends by saying, for kids out there who are being abused, please talk to an adult you trust. There is always help. You are worthwhile and you can get through anything. To my daughter, Cecilia, I want to say a second of your love. Oh gosh. I'm very passionate. A second of your love is worth a century of mine. Love always in big caps. Love always that. How important was that for you? How life-changing was that for you to have that in your book?
Oh, it was everything. It was everything. And I mean, I showed him my book first. So what happened was I showed him my book and I said, Dad, I'm going to publish this book. And I wanted you to know because it's about you and it's about me and it's about our life together. And, you know, he was very scared, honestly, because he didn't want people to know his violent past. He was concerned about what people would think. But part of what I said to him, I go, but this is actually so necessary and so important because anybody who's even thinking of abusing another person can look at themselves and say, hey, wait a minute, maybe this isn't the right way. And I said, you're going to help save so many lives and influence so many people by talking about it. And I said, you know, I actually like, you know, it was unbelievable. So basically what happened is he read the book first, and then he's the one who reached out to me and said, Cecilia, I want to write a letter in the back. And I'm like, okay, you know, I didn't know like kind of what that was going to be. And then I, especially that last line, like it gets me every time. And I just, you know, and he's spent all that time since, you know, just making it up to me, you know, and it's been really beautiful. And he did the most wonderful thing for me is he actually bought many copies of my book so that I could be able to, you know, he printed a bunch of copies for me so that I could sell my books. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's such a beautiful gesture.
Goodness.
Yeah. It was amazing.
That is such an inspiration to so many who are going through that. It just you, your life really truly inspires others that there is hope and there is healing. And I want to end by just, we're trying to keep this short because in the time that we're living in, people don't want to hang on for an hour.
Yeah, that's right.
Celia and I decided to keep this kind of short. I want to show your website here. Let's look here. Here you are. Okay, let's share your website. And it's got right there, it's CeciliaTement.com. Am I pronouncing your last name right?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. And there you are. And
it's showing up a little funny there.
Oh, you look one.
Oh no, it's just that I don't know why the name's like on top of my thing, but it's all good. Yeah, that's
I don't know. anyway, there's your book right there. If they want to
Yes.
get your book, and they want a signed copy. And can you just quickly mention these things that you're offering in terms of workshops and this kind of thing as well?
Well, right now my focus is on one-to-one coaching, and I coach all different kinds of people. So literally, if you are struggling with something and you need some help to shift your perspective, just get in touch with me. This is a free challenge that is for authors that I have available. It's a 4-day challenge if you're interested in that. But generally right now I'm focusing on my one-to-one coaching, and I have another coaching program that I've just started with a friend of mine that we are doing as well. But literally just get in touch, schedule a call with me, and within a few minutes, I guarantee you're going to start to feel a little bit better, a little bit lighter, and a little bit more capable
And
of
you've got
changing.
a free 15-minute call.
That's right.
To see if you're ready.
That's right.
And here's some clients that like, okie dokie. All right, we're going to go back here. This has been so much fun.
Well, thank you,
and
my
I
dear.
absolutely love this book. And, you know, my series is Bully Busting Adventures. And this is what it's all about. You know, busting your bullies, not busting that bully out there, the bullies in here.
Yes.
That, you know, just grip our hearts and keep us from being who we truly are. These incredibly creative, limitless people who can create what we want in our lives, find joy, which you are. You're just such a joy to have here.
Oh,
and I'm really happy to see you, Cecilia.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been my honor.
Love you.
Love you too.
Thanks. This means I love you in sign language.
Yes, perfect.
You know that?
I do know that.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks so much.